What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Couple Things.
With Shawn and Andrew.
Special Forces, episode 8. Second to last.
Oh, we are catching up on publishing episodes, so I think we'll publish 2, maybe even 3 this week.
We better, because we have to be like live for the finale.
I agree. And we might need to start scheduling and start talking about scheduling another live Q&A.
Yes.
I love doing that. That was really fun. Also, for those of you who don't follow us on our main YouTube channel, we just published about 30 minutes of all of the behind the scenes footage that they've given us. Some people have said, like Gail said, it would be great if we could show some clips of the show while we're talking about it. We haven't really been able to do that because of certain things with the footage, but we did publish all of them on the main YouTube channel. The first video is just episodes 1 through 5, and it's broken out by episode on the timestamps. And then the second the second video we make will be episodes 6 through 9, and that'll be published hopefully the Friday after the finale.
We've been working on trying to get the DS on the podcast. We've been trying to do like a full one. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think we can get them each individually. And I would love to get their 2 cents on the takeaway of the show for you guys to like listen to as well.
It's a good time. Let's do some life updates. You've had a wild week.
I've had a wild week. We both went to DC to shoot the American Valor show that awards and recognizes American veterans, which was absolutely incredible. We got to meet like 30-some World War II vets.
World War II vets.
2.
I'd never been around so many people who were over 100 years old.
Yeah.
And the cool thing was,
yeah,
they each had a hobby that they were super passionate about. So one guy was a 100-year-old bodybuilder, the oldest bodybuilder in the world. He got up on stage in this muscle shirt and did all the poses. It was awesome.
One played the saxophone.
He was 104.
Yeah.
Another couple was like, I think in their late 90s, but they were sharing their love story. They just got married like 2 years ago. And it was really amazing. So it was all these incredible veterans. There was generals in the room from all branches of the military. But my favorite part of the evening was being in this room with all the different branches of the military. So they each have different uniforms. And then there's different military institutions there as well. So the cadets have different uniforms, and then each generation from different wars had different uniforms. And it was like this incredible mosaic of
really
history,
was.
it felt like.
And then seeing the U.S. Navy Glee Club come up and sing the national anthem. And it was very patriotic. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was really interesting being in DC too. It felt like, every time we're there, especially in this context, it really felt like, oh my gosh, so much happens in this city.
Yeah.
And in contrast to like Los Angeles, where it's all the Hollywood, like movie entertainment stuff, this is like where the decision makers of the world are. It's crazy. So that was fun.
So flew from DC back home for the night to see the babies, help put them to sleep, take them to school the next morning. Then the next day we helped host the St. Jude curated event here in Nashville.
Shawn was the MVP of the evening. It was amazing.
It is a beautiful, beautiful event that's put on annually in Nashville. We are actually hosting it next year, which I'm so excited about. It's about 100 people, and we managed to raise $2.5 million from those 100 people over the course of a dinner, which was absolutely it was a pinch me moment. Then fast forward to the next day, I took a girls trip out to Los Angeles for the Dancing with the Stars 20th anniversary. They brought back over 150 alumni that have been on the show, and it was really special. I got to see a ton of people from my season that I have not seen since I was 16 years old, and it was actually fascinating how many people didn't recognize me because I wasn't a 16-year-old kid anymore.
Funny.
Like walked straight by me, and I was like, hey, and it took them a second, and then they're like, oh my gosh.
Wow.
A lot of people from my season were truly like family to me, just like big brothers and big sisters. So it was really special to see that come kind of full circle and see them again. And then flew back here to watch episode 8. It's been crazy.
Right. Our kids are in the best phase right now.
My gosh.
Oh my gosh. Bear is saying full sentences. His first 2 sentences, his first one was, Daddy, I want you bite. So he'll always like be super generous with any food he's eating. He offers to someone else. And then the second he said, "Daddy, did you see that?"
Yeah.
He's really good with eye-hand coordination stuff.
Gosh.
And like you put a ball on a T-ball set, he can hit it with a bat. It's amazing. So he was telling me to see it.
I was reflecting on this the other day. Our kids, they each have like had a hobby or gravitated towards something early on, like at the age of 1. Drew, everything was climbing. She just wanted to climb. Swing sets, rock climbing. It was climbing. Jet, it was wheels. He wanted to ride a bike. He learned how to ride a bike before the age of 2, like without training wheels. It was insane. Motorcycles, all of that. Bear, ball sports.
And bulldozers.
But like a bat and a ball or throwing a ball is like all he wants to do.
Yeah, it's really funny. And he has no interest in bikes, which is so different than Jet. It's like,
Jet had no interest in balls.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
It's crazy. But we're really enjoying our time with the kids. Jet still wakes up at 5 a.m. He's my workout buddy. Drew is in the giggly phase right now. I feel like it's so much fun.
And she's
I know
in a daddy phase.
I know.
This morning I kept hearing Drew's voice yelling for daddy just like throughout the house. And I was like, huh.
We got a lot of fun projects we're working on with the 3D printer, science projects. Life is good. And we're also finishing up a remodel. So we will, again, back to the main channel, be publishing videos probably around the new year about the whole process of old versus new.
We're getting ready to move in, like a couple weeks away. And there's so much chaos in the logistics and the final payments. We are not stressed at all. Sarcastically.
What? I'm kidding. But that will be on the Shawn and Andrew YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So check that out. And let's also get some questions, and then we'll go through sequentially the episode. So let's see. Someone asked, is this just a Special Forces show podcast now? The answer is no. But
we are in a series, and it's very important for us to finish covering this. We have 1 episode left to cover. We'll probably do a few more episodes on a couple things about Special Forces, and then we'll go back to your everyday romance content.
Yeah. I don't know if it's important that we cover it, but it is fun. We do enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it's been a really fun thing for Shawn and I to reflect on and capture all the nuances. And it's also been so great to see all your feedback. So thanks for tuning in. Let's see. Andrew says, this is just a comment, says, it was so great to see how Andrew talks to Kody about different beliefs and faiths. We just did an interview with Caitlin Bristow, who I loved our conversation, but the last half was about faith. So one of the episodes that will be published here after our Special Forces series is kind of a expansion of that conversation, which I'm really excited about. I've been writing notes nonstop.
I'm giggling. I apologize. You just wrote these notes down, and you're having a hard time reading them.
I did. Well, do you see how bad my handwriting is?
Yeah, I'm really shocked by this. You're like, what does this say? And you wrote it down maybe 5 minutes ago.
IBAM asked if we ended up having a favorite box during the kick carry movement. Since we picked them up so much, did we end up having a favorite box that we moved?
Yeah, for sure. The small ones.
The small ones.
The ones that weighed less than 60 pounds.
Yeah. Someone also said that they thought we were saying bee stings, like the bugs.
No.
But we were actually saying bee stings, like Beauty and the Beast, which is what they would call like a...
Beast, INGS.
Yeah. It's like the verb. Is that right?
You get beasted.
Yeah. It's like a random workout that could happen at any moment.
We had a lot of those.
And then someone asked, how can I watch this internationally? They're in Australia. It is on Hulu, I believe.
And people are ripping them on YouTube.
You might be able to find it on YouTube. So hopefully you're able to find it. And then let's see. Oh, someone else. This will be the last one. Was it awkward changing in front of everyone?
No. It's so fascinating. We have talked about this, and like now watching back how all the women are walking around in like booty panties and bras, and like you're halfway naked and you're changing. You got so comfortable with the whole cast so quickly because you were, I don't even know how to voice this, but like changing was like the least vulnerable thing you did. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but it's also like you weren't free for all with it.
No.
I feel like you change less generally on the show because like it's only after you go out for your big mission that you come back. You maybe change like once or twice, and then you have like the shower and the bathroom stalls.
But I mean, one, nobody was stripping down naked in front of anyone ever. We were always in like either boxers, bras and underwear, like shorts. Like there was never nakedness. But I do mean this sincerely in the sense of like, you were so vulnerable with like fear and like putting your trust in all of these cast members that going back into the barracks and having to change your shirt and that being very vulnerable, it's like you trusted your castmates so much that it was never like a lines being crossed type situation. Does this make sense?
Yeah, no, I'm trying to figure out how to communicate it to everyone else because there was never a situation where it was like, wow, that was way too much, or
are they gonna look, or that like
it just wasn't the context.
You respected everyone so much in also, the sense of
we've talked about this. Like we did have downtime, but there wasn't like just hangout time. So you were never in a situation where there was just like people hanging out in the barracks that shouldn't have been there. It was like you're always on the go, crossing paths, people walking in and out. So it was always a fluid thing, and no one was just like creeping in the barracks.
No,
like it just wasn't because there's always something to do. So let's start by sharing the real life notes of how the day unfolded, and then we'll go by what the episode showed. So this is day 8.
Didn't we do videos first? Or no?
We did the videos first. You have a good memory. I also want to start personally by saying day 7, episode 7, was the last of the, wow, that was a really enjoyable experience. How much fun was that? Once in a lifetime. Man, I'm so glad we're here. And it turns into dread and I don't know. I am a little anxious to see how everything pans out from this point forward.
Don't be. There's a lot to unpack with the last episode, but you have nothing to worry about. Nothing.
It's just things get so weird. But the day went like that. We woke up at 7 that day after we did the letter to loved ones the night before, and so we went to bed probably at midnight. Woke up at 7, had 8 a.m. breakfast, which is later than usual.
It was later than usual. We were waiting around for breakfast. That's the clip where they call Kody and they're like, breakfast is ready. And he runs directly back and he forgets to tell us breakfast is ready. And we're like, Kody, is breakfast ready? And he's like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, oh, what the?
Yeah. He forgot to tell us maybe the most crucial part of the information. 10 to 11, we watched the videos from home. 11 o'clock, you had your second sit-down interview. So we talked about, I think it was episode 5, where they featured Shawn and her backstory. And Shawn mentioned that she got sat down twice, which not a lot of people did. 1 to 4, we did they called it the sickener.
Sickener.
It was like the mountain workout. Oh man, we'll get there. 6 p.m. we had our brief with Foxy. 8:15 p.m. the base went under attack with the explosions.
And then that's when we got thrown into the desert to navigate blindly through the pitch black.
Yeah. And it was about 8:30 to, I want to say 1 a.m. or midnight that we had the navigation challenge. So with that being said, let's get to how the episode unrolled.
Okay. So it starts out with the sickener. And it starts out with the DS basically like analyzing each person, saying they think Kody's going to make it to the end. Let me just start by debriefing Kody. We have said this before. He was physically probably the strongest there.
It was so crazy.
It doesn't make any sense.
And he was full throttle all the time, which not everyone was.
And I will say something that was a beautiful trait of his, and you see it more and more through the episodes. Like if you really go back and watch, he was very encouraging. So he was always trying to like help and push you like up the mountain, and like telling Randall take smaller steps. So like he was always encouraging in a quirky way of, come on, buddy, you got it.
And he was always very present. He was like always listening eagerly.
Yeah.
I want to say like earnest but also urgent.
Very. Always urgent.
Which I feel like urgency in the wrong context can be confusing to the other people, you know? So like anytime he would get called to be like, he's like
jerky
and sprinting. And you're like, all right, this is not necessarily the context that needs to be applied in. One thing I did want to note too, Bree mentions that she's worked with a lot of people that she doesn't get along with.
Yeah.
She did a phenomenal job with that. And
She
I
was
feel like
so great.
Yeah, it was like very graceful, but still super honest.
And she also was probably the absolute best of the entire cast in being able to just say something to your face. And it was always, it tended to be Kody, but it was always like, Kody, you tend to get overexcited, you get blinded. I need you to turn that off. I'm going to lead. You're the strength. We're the brains. Like, she was so good at just calling it as it is with anybody.
But it didn't really feel aggressive. So I think it's such a unique skill, and maybe it's a personality trait, but I was just like impressed by that.
Yeah.
Shawn, you were at the beginning of the episode really worried that they were going to paint you as like, oh, I'm a perfectionist, and you've done so well the entire course. You were like, they're going to paint you as just like having an epic downfall.
I had a very bad day. This was a very bad day. So going into the sickener, we had just watched the videos of our kids. I had just had a conversation. This is the conversation. So when Andrew said they called me in a second time for my interview with the DS, this is the interview, and this is when we talked about how robotic I was, and they wanted to know who I was, and they wanted to see more emotion. And so this is when that interview happened. And I remember walking in to the barracks, getting ready to leave for the sickener, just having seen my kids, which like broke a wall down, which was really hard. I missed home, and I just wanted to hug them, and I wanted to hold them. And then having the conversation of them wanting to see more emotion was very confusing, but combining all of that going into the sickener, I was like, I had dropped a wall, if that makes sense. And so it's almost like for the first time in those 8 days of the course, I was actually feeling how difficult it was. I wasn't numb anymore. And it was almost like that switch had turned off of don't let myself cry, don't let myself feel, just do it. That was gone. So then mix that with uphill, which is my kryptonite. I don't do uphill. I don't do stairs. I can't that type of endurance is not my strength. Mix that with like, I have heavier than me chains, and it just bottled up to this. I was cracking. I was absolutely cracking. You know how every month we sit down and try to figure out where our money actually goes? Like, we think we're on top of it, but then somehow the numbers never quite add up.
Yeah, I'll be like, wait, why is there another charge for a streaming service we don't even use anymore?
I think there's probably 4 extras that I signed up for yesterday. That's exactly why we started using Rocket Money. It's this personal finance app. You guys, you have to get it. It helps you find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, track your spending, and even negotiate bills so you can actually grow your savings.
That's pretty sweet if you think about it. I hope you're kidding about the 4 that you signed up for yesterday.
I actually wasn't, because I was trying to stream our show.
All right, we'll talk about that later. Anyway, it literally showed me all of our expenses in one dashboard. I'm talking bills, due dates, paydays, everything. And the wild part is that it found a couple of subscriptions I didn't even realize we were still active with.
From you?
Both of us, collective.
Okay.
Anyway, Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions. It monitors your spending and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings.
That's right. Rocket Money has saved users over $2.5 billion, including over $880 million in canceled subscriptions. Their 10 million members have saved up to $740 a year when they use all of the app's premium features.
It's also been awesome for setting savings goals. We've been putting money aside each month without even thinking about it because the app figures out the best time to do it.
And the best part is it gives you that little sense of peace knowing you're finally in control of your finances again. So if you're ready to get organized and stop paying for things you don't use, cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/EastFam today.
That's rocketmoney.com/EastFam. Rocketmoney.com/EastFam.
I thought my back, I've fractured my back before. Having all of those chains on my back, I thought I was going to break my back again. And in my head, I was doubting. I was like, is this worth it? Do I literally fracture my back again for this whatever? And then I was trying to show emotion, but I had let too much emotion in. So then I started bawling and I couldn't like contain it. And I was just so overwhelmed with so many things. I was like, I don't know how to do this. There's too much emotion coming in. I miss my kids. Is this worth it? This is freaking hard. I was breaking. What they didn't show with the chains, they showed one clip of I almost fell over because I couldn't. It was so freaking heavy. And with the Bergen on, the Bergen has like a titanium plate in it so that the Bergen doesn't like fold. So I literally had no mobility. Like I couldn't move with all this stuff on and the chains, and I almost fall over and Billy catches me.
Because the Bergen was too big for Shawn.
Yeah, the titanium plate came above my head.
Where on me it fit really well and it wasn't an issue with mobility. Shawn had the same size bag, so it was way too big for it. Even
trying to get the chains on, I didn't have enough mobility to like bend down and grab them and put them on. So they were throwing them onto my neck, and at one point it got wrapped around my neck, and it was just wild. So then I start climbing up the mountain, and that's where I start having this like like panic. And what they don't show, and it was a game changer for me. I'll explain why later. DSQ came up and he walked side by side with me up the entire rest of the mountain. And he just kept saying over and over, he's like, don't you effing quit. You can do this. It was the most encouraging anybody had ever been to me that whole, besides like obviously you, that whole 8 days. And it switched to flip to switch back on for me, where I was like, okay. And so for the rest of the time, I just kept replaying his voice the whole time.
Yeah. To provide a little context to the mountain workout, they called the sickener. By the way, they never used the word sickener with us.
No.
It was
they didn't even tell us what we were doing.
It was probably a 5K. So we probably ended up walking about 3 miles up a hill. It was up the entire time.
/ sprinting / running. It depended on the phase you were in.
Yeah, it was a pretty decent drive in, and it was all treacherous off-road. So like we're in the back of this car just getting wrecked for like an hour, bouncing up and down, and then you get out and then you're getting yelled at by Rudy, and then they're like, all right, you got to go working out, and you're like, I just want to just sit and get my bearings for a second.
I don't know if we have said this blatantly yet in the past episodes, but just to give you an idea, so as you're watching the show, they're saying we're getting ready to do the sickener. This is going to be hard. We're going to run up a mountain. They don't tell us anything. Yeah. So when you show up at the bottom of a mountain, you don't know if you're going to go crawl in a cave or if you're
rappel thing.
Like you have no clue. And when they say line up, follow me, you don't know if it's starting or if you're just trucking out to the place where you're going to get picked up by a helicopter. Like,
yeah,
you don't know.
The audience with the narrator has like this context and this, you know, the narrator setting it up, and now they have to do a hard physical workout. Like you don't know that when you're in it live.
And a lot of my panic that day was I didn't have any gauge of a finish line, and my brain was weak that day. And I was just like,
it is crazy how they kind of softened you up. Because remember, in real life, we watched the videos from home and then we did the workout. In the episode, they showed that we did the workout and then watched the videos. But they like softened you up and then just to kick you, you know, while you're vulnerable.
It worked.
They mentioned at the beginning of the episode that this is all mental, this portion of the course.
Yeah.
And
wow.
When people, it is. And I want to put a caveat to it because my understanding of mental toughness changed after my experience there. I feel like I'm really tough in the sense that I can keep going. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, think about the marathon mindset. It's like, all right, you're cramping up at mile 15. Keep going. Like, do whatever you have to do to get the cramps to go away and keep going. And I'm good at quieting my mind when I'm in physical pain.
Yeah.
Which is good as an athlete. But what I realized is that's one form of mental toughness. Another form is like, is not just quieting your mind in discomfort, but being able to maintain a level of quality decision-making and discernment and like focus.
Clarity, like under chaos, is very difficult.
Yeah. Yes.
Not fight or flight, just
clarity. Like
keeping
being able to
your
make
mind
decisions,
clear. Yeah.
Which as an athlete, I've always just dealt with that external stress and that whatever I need to be tough for by turning off my mind, which does not lend itself well to like clear decision making or communication skills, which we will see later on. They also said that, they're kind of giving an overview of each of the cadets, or what do you call us?
Yeah.
Recruits at the beginning. And they said 11, me, would do better without my wife. And it's like, I disagree. It's on one event, you know what I'm saying? Because I think we are a really great team, and we ham and egg it and shake and bake it really well, where it's like, okay, if it's just a pure physical workout, yeah, I could probably go faster than you. But in most situations, we are better together.
I keep going.
It was just fascinating how they position that, where it's like, I don't think, what do you mean I would do better without my wife? How?
I think you took that as a negative.
No.
Okay.
I'm adding nuance.
I think it was complimentary to you. I do agree with them that I think you would do better, only because you are such a like stand-up phenomenal husband that having me on the course, even though I'm going to be just fine, but having me on the course and vice versa, there is a part of us that is thinking and concerned about how are you doing. And I think their point to it was, you are so strong, and you can see it in the show, and you're so mentally tough, but the effort in which you put forth to take care of me and check on me, which is such an exemplary, like perfect, amazing thing to do. There's no downside to that. But I think there were a lot of times where instead of checking on me, if I wasn't there, you would have just like.
Yeah, I guess this goes back to our conversation we had on episode 4, but like, when just define the word better for me. Because if you mean he could have gone faster during physical workouts, that's probably true. But better generally, I disagree that I would do better without you. So, because we're a team.
We are a team, but there was so much of this that was not team oriented between ham and egg in life like you and I do. We are better together.
But this one, it was not like a Andrew versus Shawn thing. It was like a fine.
They were not referencing this challenge. They were referencing the entire course. The entire course, had you not had the distraction of your wife to worry about,
I don't think I would have done as well.
I think you would have been mindlessly like cruising.
But that's what I agree. I would have been more mindless. But what I've learned is that does not mean it's better. Anyway, okay, so we have this brutal ride into this mountain range. And then we get out of the car. Rudy gives us his talk. I forget what the moral of it was. At this point, my mind was like really anticipating what we were going to get into with the interrogation and getting captured.
Yeah, we were all thinking about interrogation. We weren't thinking there was another workout. That was also a reason why we were all struggling, because we were preparing for the end, not for this. And then they say, go, keep up. So we run half a mile with our Bergens on up the hill. And we come to a place where there's tires.
We had to drop our bags, run up to the tires, carry them back down the hill.
That was after a half mile up. So half mile up with bags, drop your bags, grab the tires. Another half mile up, drop the tires, go back down and grab your bags. Now run a mile up to past where you drop the tires to where a rope is. Don't take your Bergen off. Pick up probably a 70-pound.
I think it was about 70 pounds, and it wasn't like tied together or bound in any way. So it was literally just a loose coil of rope.
And my issue with that, which was like why I could not pick it up. It was so big that my arms couldn't connect. So it kept falling apart. And with the Bergen on, with the titanium plate, I couldn't bend over to pick it up. So you see Foxy come, he picks it up and hands it to me, but my arms aren't, my like wingspan isn't big enough to hold it. So then they have two of us carry it. me and Gia. But then what you don't see is Bree couldn't carry it either. So they have 3 of us. It was whatever.
But the men,
yes,
in contrast, could use their arms as the spool, if you will, that bound the rope. So we had a way easier time carrying it. It was still super awkward. But we had to do the ropes, and then
so the ropes were another half mile up. Drop the ropes, run to the chains.
I think
again,
Billy,
all while still wearing the Bergens. Get to the chains, and we had to put 4 chains on. And that equaled 90 pounds plus your 40-pound bag on your backpack. So it was 130 pounds carrying for the last half mile.
And so remember, we have our Bergens on, and the way they set these chains was just like between the Bergen and the back of your neck. So it's also not like workout chains where they're neatly the right length so that you could carry them in a way. It was just like randomly assorted lengths of chains, and so you have 4 of them just stacked on the back of your neck, and then you walk for, it felt probably 1.5 miles, I think.
Yeah.
And it's like choking your neck arteries, right? So if you, literally squeeze the front of your neck, that's what it felt like with the chains. And there was no real way to move them around without having the chain slip off. And if you had it, I had a chain slip off twice, and then you had to bend over, and then it chokes you more when you're bent over. So the whole thing is just a cluster. And
for me being so short, these chains were so long, so they had to wrap them multiple times. So instead
you had them around your neck wrapped, Shawn. I was like in disbelief when I saw that.
It wasn't me.
Oh my gosh.
But then it was like by the time I had all these chains wrapped so many times by people so I could carry them and they didn't drag on the ground, my arms were covered with them. My neck was covered with them. It was freaking awful. So we make it all the way to the top of the mountain. We had to run all the way back down.
I forget what happened at the top.
We had to run all the way back down.
We were so
to get
sweaty
back in the cars.
We were all out of it. I want to say there was people who from the get-go were struggling physically, like from the minute we got out of the car. I feel like Bree was in a tough spot from the get-go.
Gia was a freaking beast. In my head, I was like, how the frick is Gia doing this?
Gia, that was another note I had, was the last 2 days stepped up in a huge way. Like,
dude.
Pretty much, it was in a funny way, but she was kind of like saying, oh my gosh, this is so hard the whole time until the last 2 days.
And it's like she locked in.
It was pretty great to see that. And then you do see the DS, like Shawn was alluding to with her interaction with Q, the shift from them being super hard-lined and like yelling at us to being way more encouraging. They show a clip of Billy cooling Bree off with like water, and it just like, you didn't get that the first 7 days. It changes, and they're really rooting you on, which is cool.
Well, and I think to a certain extent they had gauged all of our strength up until this point, and so they knew to a certain extent, and I say this lightly, this was a very not well-weighted challenge, men versus women.
I agree. I dominated this, and it was like pretty hard. It wasn't insane for me.
I would say this challenge was exceptionally hard for the women, and it was just fine for the guys. You were climbing up the mountain with half your weight. We are climbing up the mountain with heavier than ourselves.
Yeah.
And because the DS prescribed this, and I don't think it's unfair, because I do believe, especially within the military, everyone has to carry the same thing. I don't think it was unfair, but I do think the DS prescribed this on purpose and knew it was going to be exceptionally hard for us. I do think for me it was a big test, and they wanted to see. I had been very strong up until this point, and then they gave me the emotional side of my kids. I think they wanted to see how far they could push me. And this, I never thought about quitting, but I remember thinking, I don't know if I'll make it to the top. Not because I was going to quit, but it was just like I don't know if I can carry all this to the top of the mountain.
It was a lot of weight. You did a great job. When I heard Andrew at one point say, yeah, it wasn't that bad, I was like,
I'm going to kill you.
I did not say that in the moment, though. I did not say that in the moment. And
I
also, you yelled at me. You remember when I tried to come back and help you with your rope, and then you were like, you were in such a locked-in mode. You were not happy about that.
I remember when you were yelling at all the recruits. When I got to the top and the chains were tightly around my neck, you were so pissed.
Because
I
I
know.
felt like I was getting choked, and I saw you all, and I was like, get the freaking chains off your neck.
Yeah. Well, and that was hard. I couldn't get the chains on my back. Anyways, moving on. Let's talk pajamas for a second. I used to just throw on any old t-shirt and call it a night, but lately I have realized what I wear to bed actually matters. When I feel good, I sleep better, and these new Skims sleep sets are next level.
Yeah, I can confirm. Shawn converted me. I never used to wear real pajamas, but now I'm all in. These are honestly the softest things I've ever slept in.
Right? I had told you guys about their underwear and what the game changer it was. Now it's the PJs. So the first time I put mine on, I was like, oh, this is dangerous. The fabric is buttery soft, super lightweight, and somehow makes me feel instantly relaxed.
We have been living in ours lately. Morning coffee, movie nights, all of it. And Skims has something for everyone, women's, men's, kids, even pets. So the whole family can match for the holidays.
We've kind of made it a little tradition now. Matching PJs, hot cocoa, a holiday movie, and yes, Andrew's officially a matching PJ guy now.
Only during the holidays. Only during the holidays. And I'm proud of it. Seriously, these are the best pajamas we have ever owned.
So if you're looking for the perfect cozy gift this season, shop the best PJs at skims.com/couplethings. After you place your order, make sure to select podcast in the survey and choose couple things from the drop-down menu.
And if you're looking for the perfect gifts for everyone on your list, the Skims holiday shop is now open at skims.com.
That's skims.com/couplethings.
Okay, so I forgot until I saw the clips of us how hot it was that day, how much we all sweat. And there was really no opportunity to get water throughout the workout. So we were in tough shape getting back in the car and heading back to base. But then when we did, it was probably the most relaxed time that we had for the entire week and a half we were there. I feel like we had 4 or 5 hours, which was so agonizing because you're just sitting there anticipating what's next, what's around the corner.
I will say we all knew what day it was. We knew we were at the end. We knew we were getting ready to do the evasion challenge, which leads into interrogation. So it was like impending doom.
We were not for sure this was the last day.
I know.
And we also, we had all seen the previous seasons and the first 3 seasons all in the same with the interrogation and the capture. And we were like, okay, we in the contract, like that everyone signed getting into the show is I think a 2-week timeline. And we had only been gone for like 11 or 12 days. So theoretically, I think we could have been there for another 2 or 3 days. So you hear us talking about moving the finish line back or, we're here for a couple of days. I think you mentioned a comment about that. And it was like, you start making up stories in your mind about, well, is this the last day? And then what's going to happen? Are they going to have a different ending to this episode than they did in previous ones? And if they do, then what is it? And you start like just creating narratives. And it's crazy. We watched the videos and in the show, it talks about her. It looks like we get the bag over our head and it's kind of like when they sit us down for the sit down interviews. But again, it was a way more friendly environment and they were talking to us while we had the bag on our heads. After watching the videos, Billy was like, man, you have such a beautiful family. Your kids are great. You start to like get the personality from each of them, which was really cool and inspiring. Honestly, I felt like I wanted to stay more because these guys were opening up and it was so fun to see that side of them after this time. It was just, you spend 7 days with these guys and they're hardcore. And then you start to see the soft side of them. And it's like just really inspiring.
I also think they start seeing potential in you way more than the beginning where it's like, can we make them into something? Do they have it? Like by now they kind of know that we all potentially have it, but it's, can we cross the finish line? And so they start becoming encouraging, still tough as nails. And I'm curious if they're ever going to show the part where, no, they're not, where they like DSQ tests you.
Yeah, they're not.
There was this whole like challenge where
they didn't show any of that.
No, DSQ was like really trying to mess with Andrew. Like they each tried to like single you out and see if they could break you. And Andrew was completely unbreakable. So they were like, how do we mess with him? And so they did this whole thing where they made Andrew step aside and made all of us do like penalty workouts. And we had to call you, hey, honey bun. And like, it was like a hazing.
Okay.
And
that was half of our day on day 6.
yeah.
And they're not going to show any of it. We did this whole hike down this canyon, a jump across the cliff. Maybe that's going to be on the last day.
Maybe they like they go backwards and like fill in some stuff. But
so Shawn did say that it sounds like they're going to edit the last day differently than they ever have, which I'll be curious.
I've been told that only because up until this season, the last day is very confusing for like a viewer because of the interrogation and the quote torture and
yeah, people like we've watched the last day and people just like give their number up for no reason. You're like, wait, this is the time you're going to do it? Like this seems like the easiest part of the whole show.
It's really hard to understand.
Yeah.
And so they're taking a new twist on it. I don't know how. We have not seen anything, but I'm curious how that will paint the picture. But like up until now, they've really been trying to test our push our buttons. But it did feel like there was a shift of like just stick with it.
Yeah.
You know.
So we eat dinner, but none of us really ate. It was just like silent because we were
silent.
all locked in and just so.
It was like, when's it gonna start?
And
we had all seen the show, so we knew we were about to go on this like. You just knew you're going to be trekking through somewhere with a compass, and you knew you're gonna get captured. And as soon as you get captured, that's when torture starts. And it was all just like a holy crap.
What's this gonna be like? But for me, I was like, I only knew 80%, and then the other 20%, I was creating all those narratives. Anyway, I want to say from this point forward, I don't know what's gonna happen.
No.
And for this episode in particular, on episode 8, they painted me in a way better light in certain areas, and then they painted me in a way worse light in certain areas. We'll talk about that in regards to the navigation and the capturing.
So going into the navigation, we should cover that in this episode.
They give us a little briefing.
Yeah, so they give us a little briefing. They basically say, this is how you work a compass, which we've never used before.
They say you got to scavenge for food. Any food you find out there, you eat. It's like training for survival almost.
And they give you the most basic in the event you get captured. And we'll say this in the next episode too. But like in the event you get captured, your job is to stay alive. That means build a rapport with your captor. Make sure you don't piss him off. Make sure you don't get aggressive. Make sure you don't get defensive. Like you truly have to like build a relationship with your captor. That's all we're told. And then
because this happens the night before you get into interrogation.
So then we get this like very brief briefing. And they also said you have to like make up a story.
They say you got to interact with the locals to get enough information, but you don't know if they're good or bad. So maybe don't interact with them, but you have to in certain areas. And then also you got to stay low. And if you ever use a flashlight, make sure you cover it so that it's not shedding too much light.
So much information.
They're teaching all this stuff. They're like, anytime you see lights or helicopters or cars, you got to hide in the bushes. They give you this whole briefing that like, you don't know what you're going to use or what you're not going to. You're like, okay, I guess I got to stack up on food and, I'll try to make friends out there. You don't know which to put weight into, which pieces of advice to put weight into and which are just irrelevant, which it turns out, I feel like most of it was irrelevant. They even gave us a compass lesson and it was like, we didn't use a compass a single time. 0.
I had my compass literally out following northwest the entire time.
Well, this is how they helped me. This is how they painted me in a good light. So anyway.
It was very disorienting. You basically dropped off in the middle of a town. They say you have to go to a place and get a clue. Once you get a clue, you go to another place. But like, it's not, our map was unreadable, like, which was one of the clues that we got.
I cannot believe you had a map. I cannot believe you had a map.
It would be a joke to even call it a map.
It was a picture, which was, okay, let me set the context. We're there, base goes under attack. This is how they helped me out one more time. I just run out in the courtyard with no bag. And then Rudy was like, grab your freaking bag.
Yeah.
So we go back in. It was like, 3 of us had exited. Go back in, grab our bags, come out. We had to run to the cars. They kind of navigate us around a certain way, I think, because they had place explosions in certain places. So they like had us run around. They had already started reorganizing the courtyard where we had been doing all our beastings and like had the parade square. because this is where they do the interrogation, was that same courtyard. So then we run into the cars, and it was Team Alpha and Team Bravo.
Mm-hmm.
Another interesting thing they said in the briefing was act like you don't know anybody else. Team Bravo does not exist.
They don't exist.
Like it's a whole separate show is what they painted it as, right?
Yeah. So which we'll get into in the next episode. There's so much to cover here, you guys. But
I hope this is making sense.
I would say, to summarize that last challenge where it said like Andrew was a leader and you were leading him to the wrong place, and like I was a chicken with my head cut off and we were arguing with Kody, and it was to paint that whole picture for you. It's the middle of the night. You have a compass and nothing else, and you really don't know where you're going. And we probably trekked 3.5 miles over the course of 3 hours. And all I remember is like our main objective was to find a riverbed and follow the riverbed. Well, let me tell you, we never found a riverbed. We were hacking through bushes for 3 miles.
I don't know how you didn't find a riverbed either, but
I agree. I don't know how we didn't either. And then for us, we actually found our safe house, which I don't even know how we did. Ours was a little bit easier because our markers that we were finding were mosques.
So you had the tall bell tower.
So we had the tall bell tower. There were quite a few of them, but we could identify them. And that's why we at least could say, like, there's a light that way and you can tell it's a mosque. Let's go there and ask where another mosque is.
Oh my gosh. All right. I'm gonna share a lot of the maybe unnecessary details here, but I just think it's important because from my experience so far in the show, watching the episode versus a reality of what happened, this was the most disjointed.
They did paint a cohesive, which was nice.
And it wasn't, when I say it was disjointed from the actual reality,
Yeah.
what you saw on TV was disjointed from the actual reality. It wasn't like false. It was just highly truncated and a little reorganized.
Because you guys got lost.
So we are in a car, Team Alpha's in a car with Billy. You were riding in there, and this is the only time we ever had a car ride with the DS. So it's Randall, Gia, and I. Gia is so nervous. Like, she's in dreading mode. She's like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. I can't do this. Randall's locked in. I'm locked in, just ready. I'm thinking, I got to get my nav skills out, thinking about the compass, all the lessons we just learned with survival, hide the flashlight. Billy's giving us this hype speech about how, he's been captured. He was kind of giving us some tips. He was also saying, this was like the closure moment. This was the last time I talked to Billy, period. Yeah, this was the last time I talked to Billy to this day. But he was saying, you're going to miss this. Like, the last couple of days, you will miss. As difficult as they've been, you'll never forget about this. Which was, again, was like a softer side. So then we are like driving on this mountain range. You pull down into this valley and you see like this village down there. And our driver goes one way, ends up being the wrong way. So we get lost for like a half hour, 45 minutes. We had to turn around. Billy's pissed at this driver. He's like this local guy. He's like, we're not at the right freaking spot. So then we turn around. It's now like after sunset at this point, which was a problem. And Billy was saying this to the driver because the cameras were all set up and the lighting was all messed up now. And so anyway, we get dropped off, and Billy helped us out finding the first candy store was our first stop. And he said, there you'll get directions to find your second stop, your second rendezvous point. So we get out, we're taking the side of the road path. We're trying to stay off. We're in the middle of nowhere initially. So like we weren't on the road running, but we might as well have been because it was just an open field. So we run to the candy store. We find it super quickly. Randall goes to the door first and asks for the code. The guy doesn't give it to him. So it's like this 10, 15-minute interaction. Randall comes back. He's like, he didn't have a clue. So we're like, okay, what do we do? We're like deliberating. And I don't know what happened here still, but I was like, all right, well, let me try. So I go, and the guy gives me the clue immediately. And I don't know if they gave these local guys like a picture of who you should give it to. Mm-hmm. But And I guess Gia and Randall also did elect me as the team leader. So maybe that was part of it. Like they gave the the locals a picture of the team leader. So anyway, we go back. We ended up dumping some stuff out of our bag because part of the training survival stuff was get rid of anything you don't need. So we had 30-pound sandbags.
Interesting. We were not told to do this. We had our full weight the whole time.
Oh, this was part of Billy's car speech. You're right.
Interesting.
So he said, he gives a hint. He's like, you don't really need a bag of sand in your bag, do you? Hint, hint. So anyway, then we ditched it after that first clue. And the clue was turn around, go to the riverbed behind you and go right and find the lady with fire. I'll forever remember Lady with Fire. So we're in the mountains. Okay. Just imagine this. And the mountains have all these ridges, right? And so naturally, the riverbed, which was directly behind us, at the bottom of the two, like in the valley, was a riverbed, completely dry. So like at one point we're like, is this a riverbed? Because there's no water. But you could kind of tell that there had been water lines there and whatever. So we initially said, easy. First clue, no problem. We had to walk like 200 yards through the village down to the riverbed. But keep in mind, it's a mountain range. So there's like creeks and streams coming down through every little ridgeline. And so, we walked down to the riverbed through a creek or stream. So you're like, okay, well, is this the stream that we're supposed to turn right on and find the lady with fire? Anyway, we took the biggest one, naturally, and we walked. It said 1.6 miles on the show. We probably only walked a half mile, but it was like this huge valley that you could see another mile through. So like we walk a half mile and I'm like, I guess I made the assumption that surely the second clue won't be this far away. And also there was nothing else through the valley that we could see. So we stopped there. I'm looking around. I don't see anything. Do a full 360 and we're there for like 5 minutes looking for a lady with fire. A fire in the middle of this context, in the middle of the desert in pitch black, you would see. So then we're like, well, is it a cigarette? Like, what do they mean by lady with fire? Is it like clothing or something? But we're like, we don't see any fire. There's no light of any kind. So then we turn back around and go to another riverbed. We go pretty much all the way around the village again. And we walk probably a mile and a half that way. And freaking Randall's stressed. Gia's stressed. She's not really speaking, but Randall's like, this is not we gotta find the second clue. We gotta find the second clue. I'm like, I know, I'm trying. There's no phone. There's this broken English clue. And I'm trying to find Lady with Fire. So we end up saying, let's go read the clue again just to make sure we didn't skip anything out. So that's why we ended up going back to the village and back to the candy store again. And then we like go back to the same riverbed and we took the second biggest river that we saw, which again was huge and actually had like green plants that we were like, all right, well, I guess that's like, there's clear signs of water there. So let's take this. We walk a mile and a half up this river. No Lady with Fire. And on the show, they said the lady with fire initially was 50 yards away. There's zero chance. No chance. You would have seen it. Anyway, Randall and I, at this point, I realized, what are we doing even trying to find the clues? Why are we playing this game? I was frustrated because they had given us this training survival lesson and briefing about don't show the light. And this was the first time it felt like a fabricated reality TV show where it was like, they tell you this and then there was this camera crew with an LED panel of light just blasting through the night. And so you're like, okay, well, what do you mean hide our flashlight light that's like nothing compared to this LED panel? What do you mean be quiet and like subtle when you have this whole camera crew right here? And what do you mean like I was so confused at this point and I realized, oh,
you were just frustrated.
This is a game. Okay. So then I was like, well, the longer we get lost and we don't find the second clue, then the better off we'll be.
The better off you'll be.
Yeah, I think I did end up shafting you and I'm sorry. Stay tuned. So Randall and I kind of like have this silent pact that we're just going to walk as far as we can, knowing it's the wrong direction. And so we go like 3 miles up the riverbed. We actually ended up smelling fire at one point. We're like, no way. If this is where the lady with fire is, it's crazy. But we had this delightful hike around this like cliff face in the valley. And it was like Randall, Gian, and I, we were all hyping each other up. And it was like, all right, let's just like keep on going. And then the camera crew started like getting radio walkie-talkies. They were like, hey, pretty much they started telling us where to go and like things to say, which they had never done before again. But we had gotten so lost and we were so far removed, again, intentionally lost, that they just like needed to move on with the show and what they were filming. So then they drop off a lady with fire. Like we see this van pull up in the distance and the lady with fire gets out. It has this like second clue for us. She had food, which I wish we would have eaten. But again, you're like, well, they said don't trust anybody. So we didn't eat the food. It would have been nice if we did have a bite to eat. But then we walk up on these dogs and these cars. The lights go on and and in like bag over your head, dogs barking. And it was a very intense situation at that point.
And that's where Randall VWs.
Almost immediately, which I could not believe.
I know.
It was shocking.
He said he panicked, but he also said he had no intention of doing the interrogation, which like I understand. He didn't want it to mess with his head.
We had heard previous people who had gone through interrogation said it was like
they had PTSD.
Yeah, a really negative experience.
Okay, confession time. There was a stretch this fall where I was living off of nothing but a coffee and whatever random snack I could grab between shoots. I'd tell myself, I'll make something healthier later. And then somehow I would end up at a drive-thru instead.
Yeah, or I'll just grab a quick wrap moment that turns into a $15 lunch. That's fine, but not actually filling.
Exactly. That's why we started using Kachava more. It's made our lives so much easier and honestly, way healthier. It is the whole body meal that gives you real nutrition without sacrificing convenience.
Each shake has 25 grams of 100% plant-based protein. And with every 2 scoops, you're getting 85 plus superfoods, nutrients, and plant-based ingredients. It's packed with all the good stuff, and there's no artificial flavors, no gluten, no soy, and no preservatives.
I personally love the chai flavor right now. It's perfect for the fall. I'll blend it with almond milk, a little peanut butter, some ice, and it feels like a cozy treat that's actually good for you.
My go-to is the chocolate one after a workout. It helps with the recovery and gives me steady energy throughout the day. Plus, it's super quick to make, which means no excuses.
Seriously, Kachava has been a game changer for keeping us fueled, even on the busiest days.
Your future self will thank you. Go to kachava.com and use code EASTFAM for 15% off your next order.
That's Kachava, KACHAVA.com, code EASTFAM for 15% off. For us, we made it to the safe house, and I just remember, and you see it on the show, walking in thinking like, is this right? This feels like a trap, which it was the whole time, but doesn't really feel like a safe house. And we go in and they had tea and they're like, sit. And the locals are like trying to give us tea. And I'm like, this feels like a trap. And so we sit down, take our Bergens off. Bree and I literally like drink our tea, this is probably like 3 minutes. And the door blows off.
That's crazy.
And the dogs come in and whatever. And all I remember is like this split second where Bree and I had like a really good bond. And we'd been talking about this. Like we knew interrogation was coming. And we were both more scared about interrogation than anything else on the show. It was like in this instant, I looked at her and we like grabbed each other's hands. And I was really shocked they didn't show this. Maybe it didn't like play on camera like it felt, but I was like in a panic. I was like, Bree. And she just like locked me in, eyes to eyes. And she's like, we've got this. And then they shoved our faces down into the dirt and the dogs are barking on us and they put our zip ties on, they put our faces on. And it was like in that instant, I felt for the first time, probably the whole show, like true fear. Cause I was like, frick, I don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
And then
we did not know what was coming.
Locked in. After they put the bag on our head, we were probably face down on the ground for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then they pick us up and they put us in the back of a car solo. Like nobody was in my car. We each got in our own and they drove us off. I could tell we drove back to base.
Yeah.
Cause like there were these really creaky doors that were to base. Like I could tell we were there.
We had zip ties on.
We had zip ties on.
We were like legit captive.
Were you in the square with us?
I have no idea. There was no talking allowed.
Did you
from this point forward.
have dogs barking at you a second time in the square
Yes.
where they like,
Yeah.
so they like walked us into they might show this. They walked us into the square.
Well, we can't give out too much. We're not there yet.
Okay.
We're not there yet. That whole navigation and escape course, part of the course was like, it really was a thrill. It made me think of like an escalated version of, I don't know if you've ever played Capture the Flag at like summer camp in like a big field or something, but like you're totally into it.
Yeah.
And like in football, anytime you'd like be the ball carrier in football and being chased by the defense, you're always like puckered up, just like freaking locked in, palm sweating, on high alert. And it felt like that the whole time, where you're like looking out for cars, looking out for dogs the whole time we were on the run. It was very electric, and it was just intense.
And it was probably 3 hours. Bree and I spent 3 hours. We were giggling last night, you and I, wrangling a puppy, aka Kody, who like every 5 minutes he's like, I'm gonna go do solo recon, and we're like, stay together. Or he'd like go wandering off to pee. I'm like, Kody, stay together.
Yeah.
Every 5 minutes.
I just can't believe it. Lady with fire. So we see her get out of this van, and she like starts making this fire with flint and steel, which again you could see from 2 miles away. So the first lady, they said, was 50 yards you couldn't see. Anyway, You're not bitter at all. She gave us a second clue, and she like pointed where to go, which I'm pretty sure they were just trying to move things forward because it was late. We had delayed their plans because Randall and I had this plan of getting lost to delay it, so it worked. But she like pointed, and then that's when we had the dogs. But I'll never forget, Billy like really did not. He kept giving Randall chances to un-VW.
Really?
Maybe like 2 or 3. It was like probably a 2-minute interaction of him saying, "Are you sure? Like you're close." And then I also want to talk about the dogs because so you got a bag over your head. Oh my gosh, we should talk about the bag now because this began the next 18 hours of our life. Heavy canvas. We mentioned this before.
Heavy.
Can't see anything. And you're sweating balls in this thing, and it's itching. And there is like a little crease, just like any bag would be, that you can kind of see some light on. So you could like see your feet. You could kind of get a grasp of like a little bit of where you were. I'm saying like a 1-inch perspective.
Yeah.
But you're in this with your hands bound, and they have these dogs. I mean, they must have been a foot from your face barking.
They didn't bother me
and
at all.
this guy who's speaking French.
German.
Yeah, German makes more sense with German shepherds. He's like saying the command to these dogs, which was crazy. There must have been 6 dogs. It's super loud. You got this guy yelling German. I don't know what word he was saying, but I hear it in my mind. And I hear these dogs, like you could hear the freaking slobber just like gushing. And then, yeah, you load up in the car.
I was a psycho with the dogs though. Like as soon as they come up, I'm like, oh, good boy, good boy, good boy, good boy. I was like, it made me smile hearing the dogs.
It took me probably 5 minutes to get to a point where I was on red alert. Because you're like, it's like, the one negative experience I've ever had with a dog is a German Shepherd. So like, I don't know. But
I just kept picturing Thor. I'm like, yeah, get it, buddy, get it.
That's the conclusion of episode 8. We'll see what happens here.
Get ready for episode 9.
I'm loathing episode 9.
Loathing.
Episode 9 changed us. It did.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. I'm Shawn.
And I'm Andrew. See you next week. Be good.